what do we feel is like the biggest issue? Is it knees, hips, ankles?
Hips.
All the four hips.
Yeah, still
All
need.
of them? All right, so does anybody mind kind of coming out for a little demonstration? We're going to pick on you just a little bit. Won't be anything too bad. All right, so when we're looking at squatting to depth, what do you want to see to like signify foot? What are we looking for? Yep, exactly. Great job. So let's see a couple squats. Just go down to however low you can, and then pause there for a second. Wow. Is that low or is that low?
No, because I'll fall back.
So would you guys say she's at parallel, below parallel? Like, is that full depth squat? Parallel. Just up parallel. So we're gonna take a couple plates and we're just gonna try something.
Okay.
So I want you to put your heels on those plates and then try squatting again. A lot better, right?
Yeah.
Before, what were you feeling was most? Was it?
I think like back. Like everything back here.
Everything back.
Yeah, like the all tight back here.
Yeah, so a lot of people, probably the vast majority of people, the number one issue for hitting depth in the squat is going to be your ankle mobility. Having limited ankle mobility will make it so that your knees can't go as far forwards as you need to, and you're just going to like run out of hip range of motion. And that's why a lot of our hips feel really tight when we're squatting, is because most of the motion is coming from there when they should be kind of coming from here. So the test that we can use to actually look at your ankle mobility is over by the walls. Parallel to the space. So why don't you come on over here? Can you guys all see? If not, you can kind of come a little bit closer. So, what's your name, by the way?
Marcy.
So, you're going to get in a half heel position. You're going to get the toes, one hand's width distance from the wall. So we're using your hand just to standardize side to side so you know exactly where you're going to be. And I want you to keep your foot flat on the floor and try to push your knee forward as far as you can. Actually, it's really good. So I want you to take half an inch, squeeze back. And you're going to find where you just have a hard time using it. And then try and leave your side as well, starting with that seat. Ideally, you should be able to reach the wall with your foot about a hand's width distance or a little bit farther. If you can't, then it's very likely that you might have an ankle mobility limitation, which is affecting your squat depth. So I want you guys all to try this out. You can either use the doors in your bathrooms, this wall, anywhere that you can kind of get up against the wall easily.
Great out.
Yeah, that's not great. That's as far as you go.
She's booking my thing for me.
Okay.
She is my secretary and has my credit card.
That'll work.
You're very codependent. You're not doing good at this. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
So you're taking one hand.
Small for
You're gonna try with the other one.
Where did it hurt? Like,
Oh, okay.
do you have like
This one is, yeah.
Yeah, you have to do it again.
You know, you catch the end of the rope, like the extra that was coiled. I just like, so it's mostly, I know it was, but I still wanted to squat, you know? But I
I feel that way more in my hips than in my ankles. Is that supposed to be the case?
Today was.
Gonna find out with him,
20
with you.
minutes. Yes, sled push in the middle, 12 alternating dumbbell snatch, then 100-foot sled push. But it was like, I do one and then you do one. Yeah, not always. They're usually a little longer on Saturdays. Yeah.
What do you do if you can't?
We're gonna do it until next floor.
Is that the test?
Yes, exactly. Test to see if like this drill is appropriate or something that would like to help you out. Because ideally, you want to figure out what specific like range of motion you have. A lot of us, if we don't know a ton about wrestling things, just take a shotgun approach. Just see a bunch of stuff on social media, try out everything, and then never be consistent with anything, and therefore never get any improvements in your actual squat. So So that's why we want to test it first. If it is limited, we do a drill for it and then retest to see if there's any improvement. So the drill that I really like is, let's use the non-injured
Okay.
ankle pull. So you're gonna put your foot up on here. And you can either use a box or a bench. I like using a bench because you can actually hold on. You're going to put your foot flat on the bench, and then sit your chest and shoulder right on your knee. Then you're going to pull into the bench and push your body and knee forward. Hold for 10-15 seconds. You should feel a stretch mainly like lower in the Achilles. After you hold for 10-15, relax for a second or two, and then you're going to do 3 to 5 reps. Does everybody see how to do this drill?
Yes.
I want you guys all to try it out. Try it just on one side, and then retest the wall. Yeah, if one is really limited, do that side, and then retest the wall drill and see if there's a difference.
Yeah, somebody did. I thought we talked about it.
Nice.
It's the fact that
It's
it's
not what I already have going on this morning.
He told me to bring his dog. I allowed her on my dog. Yeah, you have to talk. I told her you're going to talk to her about
No
my dog.
interest in doing it. No.
She's a good dog sitter. She watches all three of mine.
She was like, oh, she might be too much. I'm like, honestly, probably.
You don't even understand. My house is chaos. She'll be fine.
Where are all you guys feeling this one? Achilles. Calf or Achilles is fine. The one area that I don't want you to feel is in like the front of your ankle, like a pinching sensation. Are any of you guys having that, or everything's fine? Like in the front of the ankle. Yeah.
So should you keep your heel on it? Like if your heel rises up, is it too
If
far?
your heel rises up for this, it's not a big deal as long as you're still feeling that stretch. When you're doing a test, you want to make sure that it stays down just to standardize the test. So do like 3 to 5 rounds of this, and then we'll have you retest the wall.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Thanks for being my secretary.
Yeah.
Have some time, some more time.
No, not at all. Traveling and getting in that position, but a regular squat, let the knees kind of go past the hips.
Jerry?
What do you mean? Oh,
Mark, there's a couple of us in here that can be your mothers.
How's it feel? Of course.
Say 27, is that right?
How old do you think I am?
All right. It's going to be magical. Can't wait.
Is that right?
This month, actually.
Dang.
Yes.
Go to County Fair. What do I get? Yeah.
You get a lot of good squatting.
That's a stretch, yeah.
So for those of you that had trouble hitting the wall, you do this drill and then it's easier afterwards, that's a really good indication that if you do this regularly, it should help your squat depth because it will help to improve that ankle flexibility or mobility. The big key with any of this stuff is you need to do it very consistently. Developing flexibility and mobility is absolutely doable pretty much no matter the situation. It just takes a lot of time and very dedicated effort. For most people, I recommend doing this stuff once per day if you do find some benefit from it during this like test retest sort of thing. For a couple sets of 3 to 5 reps. Once per day is probably best, if not at least like 3 to 4 times per week. And definitely before you train, that way you can access better positions when you're squatting and doing everything in the gym. Sound good? Any questions about this drill? What was that? If it didn't help and you had trouble touching the wall initially, you might benefit more from like a longer duration hold. So you could either just do like a static stretch in this position for 60 to 90 seconds and then retest. Or you might do well with some loaded stuff like really slow eccentric calf raises where your toes are on like a box or an elevated surface. That way you can get down into that range of motion. Actually, let's have you try the long duration static stretch just to see if it does help. But this is exactly why you want to test before and after, because if it didn't help in her situation and she was just doing it blindly thinking that it would help, she'd kind of be wasting her time, more or less. when you're doing a longer duration static stretch like this, you want it to be mildly uncomfortable, like a 6 to 7, maybe 8 out of 10 discomfort. You don't ever want to push it to a 10 and be like gritting your teeth, sweating, anything like that. You also don't want it to be too easy where it's not effortful at all. What would you like kind of rate that as from 0 to 10 for discomfort?
Probably a 7.
Okay, perfect. That's the rate. After another 20 seconds, we'll have you retest the wall touches. Who's training later to that? Like mobilizations like we just did? And some people respond better to loaded mobility drills. So it's important to like actually try out different things some people respond to, and then do more of that activity that you do respond to. Now, the next one, we're gonna do all sit on your butts. This one's nice because the test is also basically the drill that we're going to be doing. So we'll be sitting, knees bent to about 90 degrees, and feet about shoulder width apart. I recommend starting back on your hands initially just to kind of support yourself. And we're all just going to let our knees fall to the right side. And ideally, both knees should be able to touch the floor relatively easily. Who here is having trouble touching the floor? And for those of you that have trouble, is it the right leg or the left leg?
Mostly left. I can't. Oh. It's like right here.
Yeah. So what a lot of you are seeing is that when you're going to the right side, it's the left leg that's limited. And we're testing 2 different motions at the hip. 1 motion at each hip. So when we're sitting down, going to the right, we're looking at external rotation of the right hip and internal rotation of the left hip. For full depth squatting, internal rotation is actually pretty important, but it is often a very limited movement for you. So the way that we're going to mobilize that or improve upon it is we're going to get in the same position, but if we're going to work on the left side, we're going to lean back, and I want you to get into a position where that knee can touch the floor, so you can move your knee around a little bit, move your hip around a little bit. And then from there, stay back nice and far. We're going to try and turn your chest over that back foot. So trying to turn towards that back foot. You should feel kind of like a really deep stretch in the back side of your hip and glute. We're going to hold this for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to stretch the right side into external rotation. We're going to do this on both legs, so we'll flip sides after we're done on both. And then we're going to retest the squat and see how it goes. Not too uncomfortable, is it?
No. I'm just really whining.
Where are you all feeling this stretch right now?
In your hip and left side.
Inside it?
Inside.
Okay. So what I'm trying to do is either don't rotate quite as far, or try to lean your torso back a little bit more. Yeah, ideally you want to feel kind of like outside, lateral.
Feel it all inside, so I guess I'm doing it.
You ready?
Not necessarily. Due to the shape of our hips, some people don't do well with really in-range rotation. So we're going to do a band mobilization in like a more neutral position. That might be
What if it's on the right hip, on the right side?
Try to turn your torso towards that left side a little bit more. Feel that a little bit more on the left side now? Yeah. So try and lean back a little bit more forward then, and now try to rotate it to the side. Not too much. Do you have any difficulty touching the floor with that knee during a traditional test or not?
No.
Oh, then you probably have it.
Okay. I'm afraid we go the other way. That's when I'll feel it. Okay.
Are we switching now?
Yep, so switch legs, switch the orientation of your legs. So we're going to go to the knees to the left side now, and then we're going to turn towards that right leg to do the same stretch, but on the right leg. Make sense? Okay. We're going to do another 30 seconds there, and then we'll have everybody stand up and try to squat.
So what does it mean if like one side felt better than the other side? Yeah.
That's pretty common. Most of us will have some differences side to side in our range of motion. Having a small difference is actually very normal and not anything you probably need to address. But if one side is like markedly different than the other, you want to spend more time mobilizing that side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Oh, better. Like, I'm not sure it's lower, but it doesn't hurt as bad.
Good. Feels a little bit looser.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have dogs.
So when you're doing drills like this, you're looking for two things. One is just what your depth looks like in the squat. And then the second is the ease that you can, like, how hard it is basically to get into that position. So improvements in either is a good indication that you're doing the right thing and moving in the right direction. Any questions about this one so far? No? All good? All right. Let's come on over here to the racks. So, this is another good drill, especially if you had any pinching in the front of your hip during that last drill. What you're gonna do, you're gonna attach a relatively thick band low to something that won't move. Here in the gym, squat rack is the best thing to do it just so you don't end up crashing into anything. And then you're gonna put the band really high up in your hip crease, as high as you can towards like the adductors or your groin. Then you're gonna take a step out so there's tension on the band. And you want the band pulling kind of back and out to the side at like a 45-ish degree angle. And then from here, you're going to, once you feel tension on that band, keep your foot relatively flat on the floor, pull your knee across. You should feel a stretch in a similar area as with that 90-90 sit one. Hold this for 5-10 seconds. Come out, and then push out to the side. Just make sure that the band doesn't roll up on your leg. You can use your hand to keep it in place. Hold for 5-10 seconds, and do 5 reps per motion. And for this one, we'll test out just one hip, and then retry the squat, see if there's any differences side to side. So let's anchor all 4 of these down there. So we all do 5 reps on one leg, okay? Yep, so step out from the rack a little bit so there's tension on the band.
Why don't you get in here, Camilla, and do it? Let's see what you think you
A little
made.
bit more that way. And then so the first one,
Why don't you get in here and do
hold
it?
that across. Hold that 5
Oh,
because we
okay.
feel on the outside of your head. Hold for 5, and then push the knee out to the side for 5.
Ryan, I think I'm doing this wrong for sure.
Here, turn your body to face the knee a little bit more. Then from there, yeah. Pull across, hold for 5 seconds. And then push the knee out for 5 seconds. Repeat that for 5 seconds.
Got your partner in here,
The
Johnny.
farther forward you are, the more tension the band will provide, which is good. You just want to make sure that you're not so far forward that you're fighting the band from pulling you over. If there's too much tension on the band, it's going to want to pull you back to the rack. You can kind of get around that by having like a bench or something in front of you to hold on to. This gets a little bit tough to set that up sometimes in a busy gym. Yeah. I mean, you have no.
Well, I work with
You
him.
don't
I work with him
know.
regularly, so.
Oh, so you're like the plant.
I get it.
Wasn't planned.
Okay, maybe Stephanie Russell for her bridal shower. But I'm also setting up in in September.
Oh,
So the bridal shower, yeah.
Congrats.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good thinking, Jen.
How's that? Any questions on that?
Yeah, so are we like moving it like just aside?
Yeah, so once you get in the position, you want to keep the foot foot kind of where it is, and then just hold the knee across your body, and you should feel a stretch.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Any questions on this, guys? I guess you're right up there. Alright, after you did that mobility drill, try out the squat again, see how it feels.
You said you're gonna email us and stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a recap of like all these drills and everything like that. Some decent attention on game. Yep. Yep. So start by pulling the knee across your body first. Should feel a stretch kind of on the outside hip. Hold that for 5, and then push out.
When you go out, do you want the foot to stay flat or can it roll up?
It can roll a little bit, yeah. It's if you keep the foot totally flat with that, you're going to limit how far you can go.
Okay.
That will kind of defeat the purpose of the mobilization.
It felt better.
Good. Awesome.
I feel like it's doing it's this side I don't
Is that no matter what? That is on it?
like it takes time to learn about
Okay, just these things help drills specific for the adductors, and then we're going to do more like a thoracic spine mobility drill, and I'm going to show you an actual like squat variation I want you guys to use after you do any of these more like joint specific mobility drills. Okay, so let's grab some of the med balls off here. You can either use a med ball, foam roller, whatever you have access to. So, like I said, you can either use a foam roller or a med ball, anything that will roll relatively easily on the floor. You're gonna get in this like quadruped or all fours position, and then put your foot out on the med ball. And from here, you're gonna roll your body to that side, and you'll feel the stretch all throughout your adductors. Hold for 2 to 3 seconds, and then go back. This one we're gonna repeat for like 8 to 10 reps, with a slight pause at the end of each rep. Then you
Just by
straight forward,
holding it
and then try to push your whole body towards the side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
What if you feel it just from, like, without moving?
Just from that position?
Yeah.
Then I would just keep it there.
Okay.
Do it for a couple seconds, bring it off, like maybe 5-10 seconds or so, and then do that for like 3 to 4.
Okay, great. It's cool because it doesn't like her head back up.
Yeah. A little bit of hip mobility, but a lot of mid back and lower back too. So you're gonna get in a kneeling position where your knees are kind of out wide and your feet are together. And then from here, you're gonna grab the PVC with like a snatch grip whip, and then you're gonna put one side down, try to come across to one knee, and then whatever side the PVC is on, you're going to rotate towards the other side. You should feel a decent lat stretch, a little bit throughout your lower and upper back. You're trying to get that high of the PVC pipe down towards the floor.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do 10, 12 reps, come on up, go back down on one side, then put the PVC pipe on the other side of your body, and then do the same thing but rotating opposite way. Changes in your flexibility in that immediate period of time, but you have to do it consistently over a long period of time to actually see more long-term gains. You can kind of speed that process up a little bit by doing loaded work afterwards, because that'll help kind of lock in those short-term gains a little bit more. So the way that I like doing it is grabbing usually like a 10, 15, maybe a 25-pound plate, something relatively light, holding it out in front to give yourself a little bit of a counterbalance. It'll help you stay a little bit more upright. And then you're going to squat down nice and slow and hold the bottom position for about 5 full seconds. You want to stay fully braced, just like if you were regularly squatting. And then after the 5, come back up and repeat. Do it again for 5 seconds. Come back up, do it a couple sets of 5. If you're still having a really hard time getting depth with this variation, you can do that little tip where we stuck like the plates underneath your heels to just a height that allows you to break depth, but it's still challenging. And as you get better and better over time, try to reduce the size of the plate that you're standing on until it's just flat-footed. So let's grab a couple of 10s or 15s and let you guys try.